From brutal tackles to horrific injuries, these moments will make your jaw drop and remind you of the extreme risks these athletes take when they step onto the pitch. Did you know that a soccer player can hit the ball with 10 times the force of a car crash? Now, imagine that energy being applied to a player's knee or head. Gory, right? So, stay tuned as we delve into these horrific moments. Champions League 2018, Ajax Amsterdam versus Bayern Munich. It's the grand stage of the Champions League 2018, Ajax Amsterdam versus Bayern Munich. The stadium is buzzing, fans on the edge of their seats. Then, out of nowhere, Thomas Müller, Bayern's sharpshooter, pulls off a high kick that would make any martial artist jealous. The only problem? His foot finds its way to Ajax's Nicolas Tagliafico's head instead of the ball. The moment slows down. Tagliafico's dropping to the turf like a sack of potatoes. Everyone's eyes are on the referee now, hearts pounding, and there it is. Out comes the red card. Bam! Mueller's off, given his marching orders. Now, the guy didn't mean to. No malicious intent there. It was a genuine attempt to control the ball, not a scene out of some action flick. World Cup 1990, Cameroon versus Argentina. If you thought soccer was just a peaceful game, you've never seen this match. Benjamin Massing of Cameroon is like a missile locked on to Claudio Caniggia of Argentina. With the ball at his feet, Caniggia is lightning down the field, juking out 1, 2, 3 Cameroonian defenders. But then comes Massing, charging like a bull seeing red. The collision? Absolutely bone-crushing. It's a tackle so nasty it could make a grown man cry. Even the ref can't believe it. He doesn't hesitate. Out comes the red card, like a judge passing down a sentence. Massing is sent packing, the crowd's roaring like a lion, and the World Cup has just got a whole lot more unforgettable.
Alonso has been caught, and very heavily indeed, and that's got everybody on the...
World Cup 2010. Netherlands versus Spain. Spain's Xabi Alonso, a maestro of the field, is eyeing the ball, and out of nowhere, Dutch ninja Nigel de Jong swoops in. He's airborne and bam! Lands a kick straight into Alonso's chest. Dude might as well have yelled hi-ya! It's so wild you'd think Bruce Lee had taken the field instead. The ref blinks, takes a beat, but then only a yellow card. Folks at home are in disbelief. Twitter's blowing up with Nigel the Karate Kid. Soccer or Kung Fu Theater? You tell me.
Und immer wieder Schröder. Hatte zu viele Freiheiten im Mittelfeld und hier muss die an sich gute Leistung von Zimmermann eine Einschränkung finden.
Bundesliga 1981, Arminia Bielefeld versus Werder Bremen. Moving on to the classic showdown between Arminia Bielefeld and Werder Bremen. So here's a rundown. Ewald Linen, the Bielefeld champ, is dribbling like a man possessed. Out of nowhere, here comes Norbert Siegmann of Werder Bremen. He lunges, boots flashing, and boom, Linen's leg is sliced open. Like some wicked knife trick gone wrong. He's down. His leg looking a scene straight out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's gruesome. It's gory. It's a tackle that'll send shivers down your spine. And yet, through the shock and horror, Linen, the warrior, just points at the guilty party, Siegmann, while he's being tended to.
Gary Lewin, the Arsenal and England physio, raced on and immediately called for a stretcher.
Premier League. Birmingham City versus Arsenal. Gear up for a blast from the past, straight from the Premier League battleground. A David versus Goliath tussle between Birmingham City and the mighty Arsenal. One tackle, one horrific moment, and a reputation is forever stained. Here's what went down. The ball is zipping around like a pinball. Arsenal's star man, Eduardo, takes control, weaving his magic. Suddenly, out of the shadows, Martin Taylor of Birmingham City lunges. Crack! The impact is deafening. Eduardo is down. And this ain't no ordinary knock, folks. His shin and fibula are broken. A sight too ghastly to recount. Even the sky seemed to darken as medics rushed in. The stadium fell into a hush, a collective gasp hanging in the air. Meanwhile, Taylor's shown the red, off to the locker room. But the damage? Oh, it's done. Eduardo's journey to stardom, brutally halted.
He's in real trouble here. Aaron Ramsey on the ground. Ryan Shawcross gets a red card.
Premier League, Stoke City versus Arsenal. A match that will forever be remembered, not for the goals or the saves, but for a challenge that echoed across the football universe. Arsenal's wonderkid, Aaron Ramsey, sprints, eyes locked on the ball. Suddenly, a flash of red and white. Stoke City's tough tackling warrior, Ryan Shawcross, comes thundering in. Bam! It happens. Ramsey crumples, his leg broken in a motion of sickening impact. The world seemingly stands still, time frozen in that gruesome instant. The game forgotten. Concern etched on every face. Shawcross gets a straight red. Head in hands, his remorse is palpable. But Ramsey, the promising star, his journey is momentarily derailed.
Just couldn't provide the finish as Schumacher came out and thumped him pretty hard too, I must say.
World Cup 1982, France versus Germany. A feisty semi-final face-off between West Germany and France. Germany nabs an early lead, but France retaliates, with Platini driving home a penalty. With the scoreboard in a deadlock and the clock ticking past the hour mark, Platini slips a pass through the German D, and Patrick Battiston jumps on it like a cheetah on a gazelle. But here comes the twist. Big Harald Schumacher, the German goalie, blasts out of his box like a jet-propelled torpedo and wipes Battiston clean off his feet. Battiston drops like a sack of potatoes, 2 teeth lighter, and his ribs shattered. The ref? He waves a goal kick. I mean, talk about adding insult to injury. Post-match, Schumacher's as remorseful as a grizzly in a salmon run. Even offers to pay for Battiston's dentist. No surprise then that he ended up topping a French poll of most hated figures, even beating out, believe it or not, Adolf Hitler. Football, you beautiful, brutal game.
Carno.
Premier League 2006, Manchester City versus Portsmouth. This one unfolds in the Premier League 2006. Manchester City locking horns with Portsmouth, and at the center of this shocking storm, Ben Thatcher and Pedro Mendes. Thatcher, the Man City soldier, goes head-to-head with Portsmouth's warrior, Mendes. It's supposed to be a race for a loose ball, but Thatcher takes it up a notch, or rather, an elbow. He flies into Mendes, elbow first, like a human missile. Wham! Mendes is out cold, slammed into the ad hoardings, going from hustling on the pitch to needing oxygen in a matter of seconds. But get this, the referee decides it's worth just a yellow card. Just a yellow card. But the FA, they knew the foul deserved more. They stepped in, investigated the incident, and Thatcher was handed an 8-game suspension.
And Adrian Zara very lucky not to get hurt in that exchange.
A-League 2011. Melbourne Victory versus Melbourne Heart. Melbourne Victory battling Melbourne Heart. And at the epicenter of it all, none other than the infamous Kevin Muscat. Fresh off a suspension, Muscat steps onto the pitch, promising drama. This guy's notorious for elbowing, tackling, and instigating players, and man does he deliver. His opponent, Adrian Zara of Melbourne Heart, never saw it coming. In a blink of an eye, Muscat tackles him, and down goes Zara, head first. Ouch! Hold on though, this wasn't just any other game for Muscat, it was his comeback match after a suspension against another red card foul on Adam Hughes. That's right, Muscat making his return in style and leaving everyone jaw-dropped in the process. Premier League. Manchester United versus Manchester City. We're taking a ride back to the heart of the Premier League for a legendary match between the two Mancunian giants, Manchester United and Manchester City. Center stage, none other than the fiery Roy Keane, the man himself. This ain't just any derby match though, this is personal. Our boy Keane has a bone to pick with Alf Inge Haaland, a grudge that's been stewing since a prior showdown. The drama's about to get wild. Keane spots his moment, lunges at Haaland's knee with a vengeance, all of his weight crashing into it. Bam! Revenge served cold. The drama doesn't end there though. Keane starts hollering at Haaland, flipping the script and accusing him of faking it just like Haaland did to him years ago. Talk about karma. The refs ain't having it though. Keane cops a hefty fine and a 5-match suspension for his theatrical antics. A brutal saga of rivalry and retaliation, all captured in one legendary match. Only in the world of football.
He's in real trouble here. Aaron Ramsey on the ground. Ryan Shawcross gets a red card.
World Cup Final 2010, Netherlands versus Spain. Next up, 2010 World Cup Final. A stage so grand it's oozing with high-stakes drama. The cast? the Flying Dutchman, and the Sizzling Spaniards. But the scene stealer? That's right, it's none other than Nigel de Jong of the Netherlands. Now imagine, billions of eyes watching, the air thick with tension. Then, out of nowhere, de Jong channels his inner Bruce Lee, landing a wicked high tackle on Spain's Xabi Alonso. Wham! Right in the chest! Alonso's airborne, and not in a good way. Shockwaves ripple across the globe as de Jong walks away with a mere yellow card. That's right, a yellow! The audacity of it! Even on the world's biggest stage, football can sometimes play out like a wild western. Controversial? You bet. Unforgettable? Absolutely.
En de vroeg knokt hij bij de bal. De fout bijna van Suarez, dat scheelde niet veel. Oela. Vasilevski, Witsel.
Belgian Pro League 2009, Anderlecht versus Standard Liège. Alex Witsel, the Standard Liège player, finds himself in the villain's shoes as he collides with Anderlecht's Marcin Wasilewski. Not your average tackle, ladies and gents, but a horrifying nightmare that sends chills down the spine. Witsel's weight lands with full force on Wasilewski's leg and crack! A broken leg on the field. Wasilewski's football journey taking a nasty hit. A thunderous gasp echoes around the stadium. Shock plastered on every face. This ain't your everyday football mishap, people. It's a grim, stomach-churning incident that'll forever be etched into the annals of football history. One moment of reckless action, one career forever altered. Just goes to show that football's more than just goals and glory. It's a game of grit, and sometimes grave consequences.
El balón que llega a Carrasco, atención, Carrasco sobre Maradona, Liceranzu con él, sigue Maradona.
Barcelona versus Atletico, Butcher of Bilbao. Let's drift back to the 80s, to the footballing battleground of Spain. In the spotlight is none other than Andoni Goicoechea, aka the Butcher of Bilbao. Now, let me assure you, this ain't about his ability to serve up a mean batch of Basque-style chorizo. So we get Barcelona, starring the maestro Maradona himself, clashing with Atletico Bilbao, led by Goicoechea. Barca was the top dog. Maradona was a puppet master, pulling the strings that Bilbao couldn't even see. But then, our man Goicoechea decides to take matters into his own boots. With a single lunge, the game changes. Goicoechea hits Maradona from the back, folding his ankle like a freaking paper crane. The crowd goes silent, Maradona's on the ground, and Goicoechea, not even a yellow from the ref. You'd think this was a butcher shop, not a football field. He later gets slapped with a 10-game suspension for the horror tackle that sent Maradona on a forced 9-month vacation. It was a move that not only stole Maradona's limelight, but also cemented Goicoechea's place in football's Hall of Infamy.
That was right over the ball, and he's complaining that he'd been hit.
1988 European club, Rangers versus Steaua Bucharest. Now, remember Graham Souness, the guy who led Liverpool to glory like a boss? Let's talk about him. Souness, a footy maestro in his day, was never one to shy away from a 50-50. Guy loved a good slide tackle as much as a lion loves a juicy gazelle. But on this particular day, his slide had more in common with a wrecking ball than a footballer's tackle. Our man lunges over the ball, taking a shot at Steaua's Iosef Rotario that make even the rowdiest football hooligan cringe. Rotario ends up on the operating table. Lymph nodes burst thanks to Souness's all-in assault. And the foul? Not a whistle from the ref. Rotario later drops this bombshell. If Souness had struck an inch higher, we'd be talking fatalities, not football. Talk about a narrow escape from the Reaper's grasp. And Souness, guy ends up expressing regret, but by then the deed was already done, seared into the football's grim Hall of Shame.
Ser vi det från 19 vinkel. Han ser ju den är...
Paul Bosvelt on Dennis Irwin, 1997. Back in 97, during an adrenaline-pumped Champions League group match, Paul Bosvelt of the underdog team went a bit rogue. Dennis Irwin, a champ for Manchester United, was doing his thing, helping his team dominate the field with a cushy 3-0 lead. Out of nowhere, Bosvelt pulled a move that left fans and players alike gasping. His studs found a home on the side of Irwin's knee. It was like watching a horror movie in slow motion. Snap! That's the sound of Irwin's medical ligaments taking a hit. The ref? Well, he decided to play the three wise monkeys. No yellow card to show for Bosvelt's rogue stunt. Talk about a plot twist that left the crowd jaw-dropped.
The Bremen defender is booked, and the Bielefeld attacker screams with pain.
Robert Szymanski on Ewald Leonin. Let's take a trip down memory lane to 1981, a time when Robert Szymanski decided to throw caution to the wind. Picture this, Ewald Leonin in the zone, darting down the field. Out of nowhere, Szymanski dives in with a tackle that could make a grown man weep, and boom! Leonin's left with a gnarly 10-inch gash on his thigh, a sight for sore eyes. And the referee pulls out a measly yellow card, like Szymanski had just committed a minor foul.
William Carvalho, and it ricochets through towards Ronaldo. Now goalkeeper came there.
Ronaldo's injury in a match against Czech Republic. Flashback to the heart-stopping moment when Ronaldo met with Czech Republic's keeper, Thomas Vaclik, in a full-on collision. Picture it. Vaclik leaps for a high ball like a superhero making a save, clutching it safely in his grasp. But alas, our man Ronaldo is also in flight mode, totally zoned in on the same ball. And bam! Vaclik hands Ronaldo a face full of fury, leaving him painted in his own blood. It's the first half of a lopsided match and already things are heating up. This ain't just football, this is a battlefield. Argentina versus Panama. Let's dial back to that hair-raising showdown when Argentina squared off against Panama. One moment, Lionel Messi, Argentina's crown jewel, was in full flight. Next, he's the target of a brutal two-footed assault from a pair of Panama players. The sight of Messi clutching his knee and sinking to the ground, his knee stained with blood, was enough to silence a stadium. It seemed catastrophic, a truly gut-wrenching sight, but Messi shook it off. Just like that, he's back on his feet, reminding everyone why he's the epitome of grit and resilience.
Ronaldo. Tired him very strongly. Ronaldo's writhing.
Euro 2016 final. Cristiano Ronaldo, the heart and soul of Portugal's team, bore the brunt of a tough tackle from Dimitri Payet. Down went Ronaldo, clutching his knee in agony, with 25 minutes barely off the clock. The tears on Ronaldo's face, the image of a champion reduced to a mortal, left a bitter taste in the mouth of every football fan out there. He was stretchered off the field, a sight no one would ever forget. A clash that began as a game of football turned into a tale of heartbreak. Deportivo versus Atletico Madrid. Torres, a name known across the globe, commanding the field. But then, in a split second, it all goes sideways. Torres collides head-on with Alex Bergantinos, a horrific clash that sends him crashing to the turf. His head smacks the ground, and the stadium gasps as one. Torres lies motionless, seeming to be out cold. The sight of him being stretchered off, neck brace in place, is as chilling as it gets. The game takes a back seat. The concern for Torres is the only thing that matters. His swift journey to the hospital is a reminder of the risks these athletes take every time they lace up their boots and take the field.